Hey guys, just came out for my routine walk to the woods, and my papa asked whether any bees were out because he thought I'd already been. So I came to check on them and they weren't, and I thought I would tie that into the thought that I had while I was walking down the tree line back here, which was the fact that in truth, so far as I can see it, and I may be wrong, but there are 3 laws that I have heard of, which is the law of cause and effect, the law of the vacuum, and the law of karma. And I was walking and I was thinking about each of these. The law of the vacuum basically says that there is always a replacement. Wherever a space is made, there is another thing that will come into that space. It's like when you build a sand castle and a wave comes in and then fills the hole that you dug that sand from. Soon enough there is no seeming hole because it's been filled with water and more sand that collapsed that space and filled it with something else. And then karma, we all know as being what you give out, you get back in equal measure or more. And then the law of cause and effect says that for every action there is an equal and opposite reaction. So for every result there was a cause and effect. And as I was walking down the tree line and then checking on the bees for Papa, it was a perfect opportunity, I felt, to share the fact that it's all the same thing with a different label. And here now, as I have in some of my other videos, we reach that fork in the road, except it didn't seem so much a fork, because this time I was already on the seemingly apparent path going towards the path that always took me to that fork. And because that other path was off to the side, it didn't seem quite so apparent. But it is to say that even when we go back a different way, there's always more than one option. The cause and effect that we have to understand is that when we set our mind on something, make a judgment about someone or something, which is ultimately all opinions do for us, they make us biased. They put us to one side, and then we have our reaction, which generally is taking the same action we've used with someone or something else previously, and then doing it in the same way to that different person or situation, expecting different results. And so the question that is always encouraged whenever we find ourselves reacting or feeling righteous, which really is just like fungi growing on a tree, which isn't so much about the fun guy, but about the mold and the bacteria and the overgrowth of something which is ultimately hazardous to that host. And it's really about getting back to asking ourselves, how's that serving you? How's that working for you? You know, doing the same thing, expecting different results is insanity by Einstein's definition. And yet how many of us are doing that, just reacting to life, expecting different results, and then feeling very righteous in how we are acting, because karma's a bitch. We all know it. Well, when you put God into a box and then reverse the order of the letters of God, which is really what we're doing when we're saying it is only this, not that, and this is better than that, so you have to believe in my God in order to get where I'm going. If we do that, we then put the G-O-D into a D-O-G, which makes God a dog backed into a wall or a corner or a small space, when actually God, grand overall designer, creator of all things, is all things, including us. We are the one, the Son. I am, as are you, because you and I are both the Messiahs that have come here to deliver ourselves into this new world that we are creating by actually doing it inside to then externalize it and experience it together on the outside. And as I had a conversation the other day with a very phenomenal person, I heard him say about someone telling him he was the Messiah. And I said, okay, interesting. I'd never thought of it this way, but actually a Messiah is simply someone who has grounded their connection and their knowledge and wisdom in order to understand that all of us become the Messiah of our own selves when we actually embrace the mess I am. MESSIAH. MES space I space I AM, right? Mess I am, Messiah. Take the H, ground the connection with the divine, and then we truly get back to the fact that we are messengers. And in order to find the message, we have to be in the mess of it to find out what it really is. We have to stop putting God in a box, or to say that this law is the law. Well, what I realized when I was walking back before I went over to the bees and saw that the wind was keeping all of them inside their homes, as we're now doing as a society to quarantine and keep ourselves safe and others too. Another point for another message, not to be shared here, but ultimately the bees were inside because they didn't want to get blown around. I would suspect, that's only my presumption, based on being a human and thinking about logic, but who knows if that's the real reason that none of them were out. But the reality was I shared that, and I started this message after having that decision in my own mind as to why, conclusion, not scientifically proven, and yet what is science but the best hypothesis that's been proven up until this particular point. So I say the law of cause and effect, the law of the vacuum, the law of karma. What if they were all the same thing? And what if any religion that you or I subscribe to, which I don't have a particular affinity to any dogmatic text because I've never been able to put myself into a box so well, and so how could I possibly do that to the divine when I have found truth in various texts? And so I say to you too, what if all of it was good? Except for what seems not to be so good is simply where there is ignorance or lack of understanding. Because if we actually boil things down to their essence, which is what the soul is, and we actually return to the breath to make space to understand, then we actually can return to the fact that what if all of it is the truth? What if all of it is good? It was just the things we didn't understand that seemed scary, which made us reject them instead of saying, what's possible? Curious. Be curious. I hope this message inspires you to be curious about what I've just said, about what other people say to you today, because all of it's just BS. And you can either think of it as being bullshit, or you can think of it as being a belief system, which is what makes us say that's BS in the bullshit or belief system kind of way, and then make an opinion about it. Everything is just an opinion, guys. Even the laws. Those universal laws, yes, there is absolute I don't even know what to say other than law. There's absolute systems that the universe has in force, but it's our languaging that says what the laws are. John Maxwell, in the 21 irrefutable laws of leadership, has 21 different laws that are ultimately just different teachings he's disseminated down into really good principles to lead by. And I, for so long, was then trying to remember and memorize the 7 universal laws that they share, they being the ones that stood up and were willing to say, this is the way. Well, I am just simply hoping to be a proponent for you to decide to choose what laws you give your attention to, and to realize that your BS is just as good as anyone else's, so long as it is yours, instead of the mask that we have been trained to wear. And then that domesticated animal's perception of what someone else would approve of, for then it to live by that law. Lots to think about. What does this mean to you? What are you going to do with it? And who can benefit from hearing it? Share it with them. Subscribe to this message to my channel so that I can let you know the moment that something else is available, and know that I'm not attached to what you do with any of it. You can reject it, accept it, neglect it, share it, whatever you want to do. By all means, do it. Just know why you're doing it, by getting back to your heart center, and know that God is in all things, including you. That energy cannot be created nor destroyed. That is a universal principle, regardless of what law it is labeled as. Energy can only be transmuted, change form. And today, when I saw my grandma's body for the last time, I'm not sad, even though I will miss her horrendously. Being able to share those moments with her when I'm so excited, and when I tell her that I finished my book that rewrote me before I finished it, or that I achieved some of the things that I hoped to, that she's not going to be there for those moments, is heartbreaking. For the human part of me that is used to having grandma there to touch and hold and hug, which now we're not even supposed to be doing anyway. And I say that because there is a part of me, a deeper part of me, which is the part that makes it so that I didn't feel sadness when I went and saw her body. Because I know that she now is like the steam from a kettle that boiled and is now everywhere. So to my grandma, to your departed loved ones, and to the ones who will leave us all, there is no need to be sad. It is just about continuing on to achieve the greatness that is within us, that hopefully they expressed while they were here too. And she did through us, the ones she left behind and devoted her life to. I'm grateful for the woman that I'll not get to see again in physical form per se. But nonetheless, I celebrate her life. I encourage you to see things from a different perspective, and to know there is far more room outside of the box that we try to put God and things into, including the ones that we love. There is far more room outside than within it. And I send you massive amounts of love. I bid you adieu. Laura J. Namaste. The light in me honors the light in you. Thank you.